Hi there, Hands-On Transition fan. First off, I'd like to say thank you for purchasing my Google form on combining goals and tracking data for objectives. So this high frequency data tracker is awesome. And I also have the different levels on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. So we're going to go through the second 100, third 100, fourth 100, and so on. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make minor edits to the form and what your final data is going to look like, and also how to make copies for other students. All right. So here we have the form that you purchased. The first 100, you may have purchased the second or third 100, but the editing and the data and making copies is all going to be the same. So we're going to do it on this form. So for putting it in, what you're going to want to start with is entering your student's name. So last name, comma, first initial. So we can change this piece here. So you can just highlight it and start typing what you want. So say my student's name is Smith Jones. So J. Smith. And it's going to be an IEP goal for reading and writing, 100 fry words, 1 through 100. Then you can go down here and change these pieces just by clicking, and you can change the date, you can change the student name. Something you're going to want to be really careful about though is don't click on the choices. So for the date question, if you go right here, you don't want to change any of these things because it'll delete the question and you'll start over. So be really aware of where you're clicking and try not to click on that section at all because you're not going to need to modify anything there. So we'll just leave that as is. So now that I've changed this, I want to go up here and I want to make sure I've changed this too to the student name. So Smith J. And that's going to be his IEP reading goal. The other thing that you're going to probably want to edit, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, is you're going to be putting in the staff names. So when who is taking the data, you can change these to whatever your staff members' names are. So let's say you have a staff named Hank, and you have a staff named Fran. And you can put in your own name for the teacher as well. There you go. So that's probably all the things that you're going to need to edit for this form. So once you start getting responses in, you can go over here to the responses piece, and you'll be able to take a look at your new data. So you can see the dates pop up here. And this will be where you can see which ones they're reading correctly, reading incorrectly, writing correctly, and writing incorrectly. And it has this nice little color-coded table up here for you. But if you're scrolling along and you get to the back here and you can't see the table anymore, what you can do is just hover over the bars and it'll tell you how many times they've done each thing. So this student wrote the word was incorrectly twice. He read it incorrectly once and he read it correctly once. So this is great. Just hover over the bars and it'll give you that information you need for what you need to be teaching and working on with that student. Here's where that numerical data comes in. So the number read correctly out of 25. And you can see here that if you hover once again, it'll show you that he answered 20 of them correctly one time. He got 15 correct one time, and he got 14 correct one time. So this is where you'll get that numerical data that's actually going to give you your data tracking for meeting objectives and goals. You can see the number written correct here too. If you just hover over, it gives you the key to each of those colors. And it'll be the same for each of the sections in that data tracker. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, you can see this is where the comments come up for the additional comments and behavior notes. You'll be able to see what staff wrote. And then here it shows you which staff members have put in data so far and how many times they've entered it. All right. And then you can also look at each by question. So if you only want to see what the responses were for the number read correct out of 25 in section 2, it'll show you the responses and you can take a look at those. And then you can also look at an individual response. So this is one that one staff member put in. And you can see what it looks like after they filled it out. I like the summary. That's probably the best way to look for getting your complete data. So the other thing I want to talk about, so let's go back to the questions. And before you start making these edits, before you do any of this stuff where you're going to change the names and everything, you are going to want to make another copy of this form. So once it's saved in your drive, you can go over here and we'll go make a copy. Okay. So I would leave the first one that you download alone. And every time you want to make one for a student, or if you're going to do edits on it, make a copy first. That way you always have the original the way it was, and then you can edit each new copy. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me at handsontransitions@gmail.com, or you can take a look at my website, handsontransitions.com. I have a lot of other instructional videos that I'm sure you would enjoy. And again, thanks for purchasing.